and I'm currently working here. Thanks. Thank you all for attending this session.
Thank you. I think Gaurav, I think Saloni is facing some network issues. Um,
We also have Dipesh Singh Thakur, who is currently working at Google. Dipesh, would you like to introduce yourself?
I guess they're facing some network issues, so I guess we can introduce them there. Saloni Jain, she has been placed at Uber India, and Dipesh, he's working in Google right now. I think they're facing some internet issues, so they'll join us within some time.
Yeah.
So, hi.
Okay, yeah, there.
Would you like to
Uh,
introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Dipesh. I graduated last year from IIT Kharagpur.
This year.
Oh, this year, sorry. This year from IIT Kharagpur. Yeah, currently working in Google and facing issues with Microsoft Teams. So, I think intern competition.
Yeah, okay, I can go next. So I'm Saruni Chand and I'm from the Department of Mathematics and Computing. And I've recently graduated from IIT Kharagpur and the I joined Uber India. That's the placement from like CDC placement.
So let's get started with the session. Coming to one of the most important things, how should we prioritize companies among the diverse set of incoming companies, each coming with its own set of incentives and deterrents? So, Saloni, would you like to start?
Yeah. So since we are focused mostly on software field here, so I would suggest like prioritizing the company should be a little based on your skill and expertise. Like uh, how much have you prepared and how much do you think which companies. Also, you sometimes see the work culture, but I think that's a secondary thing. We never first think about the work culture before entering any company in general. So and about like we should for software it is good that you can prepare a lot, give the test, then you get the shortlist and then arrange your the companies accordingly. So you don't have to do any different kind of preparation for different kind of companies. At least you can just be doing data and like algo, and that will help you to crack all the short listings, and then you can prioritize depending on what you think will be better, maybe on different circumstances or different parameters you can compare to that.
So, Dipesh, would you like to go next?
Uh, for me, it was like mostly the companies that would not discriminate basis like on the basis of your department. Like in software, people like there are companies that will like not selective just on the basis of your department. So for me, it was more important like to prioritize the companies that would judge me on the basis of my expertise and not like my department, because like your department should not limit on what you can do and what you want to do. So yeah, that is how I like basically selected what where for like which companies I want to apply to.
And Gaurav, would you like to add?
Yeah, I would like to add the points on what they have already said. So there are a lot of companies who are actually open to your department or your CGPA criterion, but they do not eventually select you for your shortlist. That is because they have their internal CG criteria or department's criteria. So that is how to know which companies you can potentially target is a very good way to do that is to see the past placement records. You could see the past placement records of some companies, which which department they tend to take, which CGPA criteria they tend to take. So this is something which you could use to shortlist your companies. And nevertheless, the preparation for every company is the same. So it's much better if you could, rank or prioritize after you get your shortlist into that company, as Saloni said. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next question.
Since you all went through the selection procedures of the top companies, could you please enlighten us about the general selection procedure for these companies and how did you go about it? Dipesh, would you like to give us a start on the question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Actually, we want to know about the general selection procedure for the companies and how did you go about it?
So for the companies I appeared, like the selection procedure was very clear. They had their basic checklist that you should know algos and you should know DS and you should have a general interest in system design and software. So that was the process, and there was no criteria about CG or department or anything like that. So they were very open about that. They just wanted to know what you can do and what you're willing to do, basically that. So, and for most of the companies, like the top software companies, it is what like it is what it is. Like they'll just put it out there that this is what we want, and that is exactly what they want. Like there is no like hidden terms and conditions that you have to like sign anything like that. So it's just very open. They are just very open about it. So yeah, it's for me. It was just like basic competitive coding, just a general interest in software that will like help you a long way. Also, the thing is like when you are interviewing, the main thing is not like whether you are able to complete the question. The main thing is like, are you able to explain the question to the person in front of you? So even if you are not able to like complete it, but if you're able to like convey your thought process, that is more helpful than actually solving the question.
Okay, Saloni, would you like to share something?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, I would like to ask, are you putting our videos clear? Are there any lag or something?
Could you repeat that? I couldn't hear.
Are you getting our videos clear or there's some lag or it's quite
It's
loud?
clear.
It's clear.
It's clear.
I don't know, we cannot see. So yeah, about the process that you asked about there. So yeah, as Dipesh has already mentioned, they mostly the software companies especially, they do not judge you on your CGs in general, except a few. Like you can discard them in your list of like upfront. I had discarded a few of them upfront, yeah. So yeah, so like they judge on you only on your skills on basically only DS and algo. That is right. Sometimes they might be interested in a little bit in software related things like OS and networking or COA or something like computer architecture or something like that. But in general, that is also very, I would suggest like it is something you can do at the very end of like your real placement time, like at the beginning of your interviews, because your shortlisting does not involve these things at all. So shortlisting is primarily based on how you solve the questions. Basically, you have to solve the question. And for I think the first milestone is just getting the shortlist. And you, as many companies as you like, it's good if you get many shortlists. Definitely, it boosts your confidence and all. And that entirely depends, obviously, on your practice. Like you have done a lot of practice, a lot of coding, compiling, and tech and debugging and all. So you can clear the test. And after the test, it happens like yes, the interview is not something where just you have to solve the question, as Dipesh said. They want to see how you think. They want to see they want to learn how your thinking approach, and they want to see if you are and like motivated enough to actually do something in this field or not. Like, are you really interested in this field or not? And especially when the question comes, you should definitely first clear that question again. What do you understand from the question? That is, okay, mujhe aise samajh aaya. This is the question. So the interviewer is also clear, and you also do not want to lose your time on a wrong understanding or perception. So after that, you should always convey your own path, like whatever you're thinking. That is what they need. They don't want to sit idle at all. So they want to hear something from you all the time. So just keep on doing that, it is possible that you do not know the solution exactly. You hit the brute force approach, and they ask you to maybe make it a little better or something. You try a little better. Sometimes they give you hints, and it's not bad to have hints. Like it is kind of a myth if you say like if the interviewer is saying giving you hints that it means the interview is not going well. It's not like that, and they understand the pressure as well, and they are very friendly in that situation. So yes, that I would again say, just to convey what you are thinking, whatever way you are thinking. Even if you're thinking this will not work, then explain why this will not work according to you, and then go to a new way, and just be very transparent about your thinking process. And yeah, they are happy to know your approach. You don't need to like compile the code and the interview all the time. Like, 1 or 2 interviews can be like that. Like in our first interview was like that. I had to compile the code and they just run the test as well on that. So few interviews can be that like that, but yeah, majority of them are not.
Okay, Gaurav, how was your experience?
Yeah, all the things are pretty much covered by Dipesh and Saloni. Thanks. But I would like to add a little bit from the CV side. So one thing they definitely ask is your CV, and that is something which you have to prepare well. Even if you're not completed the project and you have written in the CV, you should know the tooth and nail about the project. You should not be there shouldn't be any question related to it which you cannot answer. And also you should be well aware of the technologies you have mentioned that you have used in your project. Like if you are saying you have used Django for example in your project, then you should be knowing about what Django is, what its basic work, and and also one thing is that if you don't know the answer to a question in an interview, please say that I don't know. So that interviewer won't press you on answering question related to that field. Otherwise you will lose your brownie points in your interview, and that would definitely hamper your selection chances. Yeah, and also one more thing about the technical part. Sometimes they also ask to design the test cases for what code you have done. So it's better to have prepare like have a little bit understanding how test cases work and how they actually do once you get the interview. Not this is not about the the shortlist or coding test time. Thank you.
Okay, so going further ahead to the next question.
Mm, Most of us have doubts about how to tackle coding tests efficiently. We have practiced a lot in our preparation days, but in these last few days, many of us are confused as to which source to follow for full revision and last minute practice. So, Gaurav, would you like to shed some light?
Yeah, so basic resources like Interview Bit and Lead Code are the best to go. I think so. Interview Bit is much better because it gives you a serialized way of approaching the coding test and placement preparation. I'm not well aware of about what else to do. GFG for a code here and there, but yeah, Interview Bit is a good way to just to check all the boxes that you have completed everything. Apart from that, if you need additional practice, then you could go to Lead Code or something like that. Yeah, thank you.
Dibesh, how about you?
Like, so there are two things that you should like focus here. One is initial preparation when you're developing your basics. So there you have to like go to every website that you can. So I did two of them. One was Codeforces, one was ArtCoder. So they both have a different concept of how they define their content. So in Codeforces, what happens is like if you give a level to every question, the first question will be at level 5, the second will be at level 30, the third will be at level 60, and the fourth may be at 100, and the fifth at 200 something. So that is the scale that we go. Okay. At Coder, what you have is your first question is at 5, your second question is at 6, your third question is at 7, and the fourth question is at 200. Fifth question is at 400. So that is the graph that they follow. So in Codeforces, what used to happen is you have you'll have something like an ad hoc algorithm that you have to think about in the first 2-3 questions. The third will be a standard some algorithm. The fourth will be some standard with some covering that you have to unlock. So that is how they go. And in AdCoder, the main thing was that because the first 2-3 questions are so easy, you have to do them really, really fast. So it's basically a type sprint in the first 2-3 questions, and then suddenly you have to stop and think about the fourth question. So that just gives you a variety of like things that that can put you under pressure, that different types of questions that you can encounter. So in this, what happens, this increases your typing speed, but it also improves the like the thinking process of like how you approach the problems. So you should not stick to one website when you're preparing. Okay. Point number 2, like once you're prepared, like let's say you're 2 or 3 weeks away from the interview. Okay, now you should not do these 2 sites, because these are not the types of questions that will be asked in your interviews. The type of questions that will be asked in your interviews will be from LeetCode or InterviewBit or something like that. They are not typical competitive style questions, but they have like they will take a data structure and they will explicitly tell you that you have to use this data structure and do this and that. So those are the type of questions that will be asked. But if you have a basic foundation of competitive, you can tackle those questions very easily. So for final preparation, you should stick to InterviewBit or LeetCode and just try to hammer the questions that like they have questions sorted based on the companies that you're trying. So just try to go after those questions and those questions only, because well, you have like infinite number of questions. So you should just like look to tackle the questions that the type of question that your company asks. Okay, that is one thing. Yeah, like that is the thing that you should do. So for that like basically that, I guess.
Okay, that was great. And Saloni, would you like to comment?
Yeah, so I think Gaurav and Dipesh have already said a lot, and that really, really insightful. So I would just say, like, if there is someone who has not done a lot of competitive before, and you are like starting on it. So for me, I used to do what I used to do. I think is that first, yeah, get your basics clear. So you should also go through the theory, not just questions as well. I mean, people have different approaches, but the basic theories about the algos that you're using and how you're using, or about the STLs you're using, a little bit about everything, maybe different from GFG if it's since it's only theory based. Have a like an overview of all the things you're going to cover for your question that time. So once you are done with that, so you will get a confidence enough that okay, you know about these things and you can think about them and also connect 2 or 3 things together. So after that, for practicing, like I mostly followed LeetCode, and I would suggest, I don't know, the hard problems of LeetCode are really are helpful. So I would suggest to do as many, depending on your own pace. Like you can start with the medium, easy if you want. But yes, if you are targeting a bunch of software companies, you need to tackle the hard problems as well, because in the coding test, that's an average or normal level we pass mostly. And for competitions, like as Dipesh said, I used to sometimes like compete in like participate in Codeforces. Like Codeforces is really good in the sense that they have a different style of questions. Like you don't get those. Those are not typical basic questions that you get from LeetCode or interview. Those questions are almost repetitive. It's like, okay, you have to copy a tree, or you have to make this, you have to make a graph, or you have to find the shortest path. They are not like that in general. So for the Codeforces question, they are good in the sense that they like they force you to think how you can bring these data structures into your solution, because the solution is very haphazard and ad hoc also sometimes. Like as you said, there are levels A, B, C, D, and like that. So A and B are easy, but they're also just a little tricky. Just a clink, okay, like that. And then you get to C and D, and then you realize now you have to use some data structures maybe. And after D, there it becomes really hard, and then maybe you can say, okay, अब क्या करें? अब बहुत ज़्यादा उसमें और भी complex होते जाएगा. But yeah, I would suggest for just for competition, you should compete in some websites like Codeforces or Apples, and what you said, and maybe interview bit sometimes conduct some test. I don't know about it, maybe. But for practicing, you can refer lead code, interview a bunch of them. My main point is that you have to do both. Like you have to practice plus you have to compete. That what you practice should be reflected in your competitions. So once you have gone deep enough in the practice path, you should start competing. Like every day, give 2 or 3 competitions everywhere. Like even CodeShare, Codeforces, or something like that, where there is a time bound, because ultimately you have to face the time bound.
Yeah. So the thing is that like when you're doing interview bit and lead code, you're not aware of the time that it takes to complete the question. That is the main problem. And when you're in a competition, it's like right there in front of you that this is the time it's taking, and you are behind a lot of people. Okay, so that is the main thing. When you practice, you're at your own pace, thinking about it, and maybe debugging it, things like that. But when in a competition, you have to do it quickly. That's the main point. Okay.
That's why it's important that you participate in competition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just solving questions won't help.
Yeah, and like so, in Codeforces, the questions are not implementation heavy. You have to think about it. If you can think about it, you can code it. Okay, but in lead code and in interview bit, the questions are implementation heavy. So like even if you know that this is what you have to do, basically mostly in lead code, what happens, like you know what you have to do. The problem is how to code that. Those are the two approaches that they follow. Okay, and both are important because both are necessary. Like when you're interviewing, okay, the questions will not be really tough. Like they won't ask you Codeforces E question there. Okay, but yeah, it will have some implementation details that you have to like tell them.
Yeah, exactly. That's really important. That we would suggest how we did it, or like we would suggest like lead code is very different and Codeforce is very different. Similarly, interview it and other, like their approaches are very different. In Codeforce, as I said, you do not have to, like, they are not implementation heavy. Like you do not have to code a lot, like write a lot of lines. So it's mostly like you have to just think that particular thing that they want you to think about. They have already have that notion what you can go towards and where you'll get the solution. So that way makes you able to track your path. And once you that clicks you, like okay, this is to be done. Now comes the implementation practices that you have done through lead code and interview bit. Now you can implement easily. Yeah. So just for your thinking process, maybe you can refer to those questions and then implementation ways, like that. And about I think that this question was only about tests, shortlisting, right? So I mean, just try to perform in time under time bounds as well. That's really important.
So let's move ahead. Also, the audience can post their questions in the chat box. We will address them at the last.
Okay, so now we come to one of the most important and trickiest part of the selection procedure, the interview. So would you like to share some words of advice on how to be prepared for a CDC interview? Gaurav, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So for the interviews, the main thing is to be, first of all, is to be confident. Like I see a lot of people who lose their confidence at the last moment. So that is what something you don't want to do, because the interview ultimately expects you something. And if you don't show confidence, even if you're saying things right, it won't leave a good impression. The second thing is, the second thing is to like understand what the interviewer wants you from you. So sometimes it's like interview gives you hints, interview gives you like the questions you need to solve. So you should be aware of what interview is trying to extract from you. So once you get that, then it's most likely like you would be able to reach your answer. And also you don't need to know all the things. There are a lot of things which people don't know, and it's okay to say like, okay, I don't know this thing. And so that is something which is important to an interview. For the preparation part, it's also very necessary to have mock-ups. It's like you ask your friends or someone to do a mock-up and ask them to make a very rigorous mock-up. Like तुत्थे नील मतलब ऊपर से नीचे सब पूछ लो from your CV, from your question banks and something like that. So that is something is required. Also there is a Facebook groups and I think the Google Docs which have previous year interview questions, and definitely I would like you guys to join them. And once you join them, you will get a gist about how what type of questions is usually asked. There are different set of companies in software also. There are some companies I think so which are like Uber, Google and all, they are like more towards DS oriented. Microsoft as a company, I found that it has DS, but it focuses on your oops concepts as well, oops concept more rigorously than it follows the data structures and all. So so since there is some variation between companies, you need to have a good look at your what previous year people, what questions were asked to previous year students and all. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav. Saloni, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so like you're right. This is one of the trickiest question when anyone for anyone like here, and that is something that worries you a lot most of the times for most of the students. That how will we really face the interview? We have done the practice, we have gone through the testings and all, but yeah, interview is a different kind of story. So yeah, for that, I would just suggest like as a Gaurav already mentioned, and interview preparation can be a little company specific because now you have done a lot of coding practices for the short testing and all. You are good at it already. Now you need to be very specific at your preparations, like where like some companies are more interested in like DS and algo only, whereas some might be interested in some like alpha graph and app dynamics. They also are very core or something. They are really also interested in some computer science subjects like OS or data like DBMS, or you can say yeah computer architecture and all. So sometimes you have to cover that up also if you are targeting those companies. So like as Gaurav also said, like Google over and maybe some few more companies, they do not ask you computer science questions a lot. They are mostly focused on coding questions. Might be system design, and sometimes maybe oops as well, but not a lot of computer science questions. So but there on the other hand, like you have some companies that are interested in those subjects as well, so you might have to prepare them as well, like if you're targeting those companies. And about the uh, like this is more about how you prepare about like for a particular company or so, but most importantly you have to do a lot of mock interviews. Like ask anyone who can take a mock interview, your seniors, your friends, anyone. Like just have, I would suggest just have a practice of before the interviews, like 2 weeks prior to the interviews, give one or two mock interview every day, and just 2 days before you can give 5 mock interviews a day. I mean, just make it so you like effortless that it does not cause you any tension in the right, like at that like doomsday. So doomsday. So that is the thing I would just suggest you for mock interviews and for interviews as well. Like there have been some materials. Like also I along with I think Ishan Ranga had written, mostly Ishan Ranga has written a really good doc, a detailed doc about that. I participated a little in that also. That covers how you should what things you should keep in mind in an interview. Like that is really very insightful because it tells you about what, like you have to mention the time complexity, you have to mention this, you have to write this, you have to write that, after this, after that. So that way you can proceed your interviews. Try to keep that structure in your interview process intact. And apart from that, yeah, just check out all the groups. Definitely, like there's a discuss group in Geeks for Greeks. They have the recent questions from like all the companies. They are all, because the interviews are going on in different campuses all at the same time. So they really have the very fresh questions that are being asked for different companies. So you can explore that discuss group in Geeks for Geeks. Apart from that, yeah, there are multiple sources for company-based question also. And whenever you are targeting for maybe you can bunch few companies, like categorize these companies as these type of question, these companies as this type of question. You can have 3-4 categories and then prepare according to them, because if you are having like 4 shortlists. So maybe you can have 2 categories or like that. So prepare accordingly, and you might go to those questions that are there in the discuss groups or somewhere posted, but don't expect the same question to fall on you at the time of interview. The practicing does not mean that you will get the same question in the time of interview. It just makes you comfortable at the level so that you are really comfortable at tackling the such level of questions. It's just an like overview that you get. So I am sometimes people think say, okay, I don't know where should I start see so that I get the same question. It's not going to happen. Like there are multiple questions. You're not going to get the same question that you saw somewhere. Don't expect that. That is a too good thing, too good to be true thing. So that again, yeah, just practice and good mock interviews. Maybe follow one of the docs I have recommended, and approach as many people who can take care of mock interviews.
Dipesh, do you have anything to add?
I mean, yeah. So first of all, the interviewer is not there to make your life tough. Okay. So they also want good people for their companies. Okay. And they know that like people will psych out at that point because like everybody is under a lot of pressure. And like in the current situation, the pressure is like more than it used to be. Okay. So like they're not there to make your life tough. Also, they are not like they're not people who will frame the question very nicely. They'll copy a question from somewhere, and then you'll have to ask the details about it, like whether the question is limited to something, whether you're asking me to do that or do this. When you're explain to them like you're explaining to a 5 or 6 year old, because like don't assume anything, really don't assume anything.
Yeah.
They'll just think that you skipped that, and they'll just assume that you somehow just like you got that by luck or something. Just tell them everything that you're thinking. That is most important. That tell them everything that you're thinking. Like let's say like make it like you two are solving the question together. That is like you have to keep explaining. Even if you add a number, why have you added that number? Okay, like very basic things. You have to keep clarifying that and keep asking them questions. That try to connect with that interviewer. Okay, like don't talk to a screen or don't talk to like yourself or like that. Just try to like be a normal person and try to connect to that interviewer. Okay, that way you'll be like that is more effective. When you come to the HR rounds, so like HR rounds and the cultural rounds, try to tell them a story. Like when you're just into like the HR interview, try to like they'll ask you a few questions. They'll put the questions one by one and one by one. Try to like fabricate a story around that, and try to like put in real incidents from your life. Because if you're talking about your life, people are like more believable. They have like more commitment when they say something about themselves. Okay, about their experiences. So that is like that has a better impact than like trying to say something idealistic or that you believe in. So try to say something real there, and that will have a better impact, even if it's not the perfect thing that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to add everything there's the patient. You have to explain the interview as if they are 5 or 6 years old.
Like,
because they might be very experienced people. They're not used to these
Yeah.
STL things and commands anymore. So in my one of my interview, it happened like that. I think used something toward the binary search where you just find that.
so basically, you have prepared for the interview. You know what C++ has. Like,
Yeah.
You know what Java has. They don't.
Yeah. So
They don't.
so
They'll
that-
just assume that you solved it
So the
abstractly.
interviewer
So that is not
literally asked me everything. What
Yeah.
is this function? How
Yeah.
does it work?
Yeah.
I mean, and that was a very simple STL function. For us, it's like, okay, we use it every time. Like,
Yeah, don't assume that it's normal to you, so it will be normal to everybody. Don't
So
assume that.
They are not used to. They are old coders sometimes. They are not very updated with the present way of commands and things. So yeah.
I mean, like you have prepared for it. They haven't. They just know the basics of it. But if you do something fancy there, it will just bounce off their head. So you have to explain them. Okay, just keep explaining what you're doing.
Do it,
That's
but
important.
explain it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, panelists. So we have reached the end of the questions from our end, and we have collected some of the most frequently asked questions by the students regarding the software profile. So now we shall begin with them.
Just a minute, I would like to add something to the previous question. So there is like with the preparations for interview, there are like multiple groups for inter IITs. So it's like every IIT is having the same kind of jobs, the same kind of companies coming in, right? So there are multiple inter IIT groups where you can refer to what questions were asked into different IITs, so that you get to know just about what type of questions are being asked by the company. Also, I would say that you should be able to categorize your companies. So I generally saw, I don't know if that's true, is that HFT and the companies which required pace like Uber. So these are the companies which require speed over your, speed is a very important thing for them. So they generally ask very DS heavy questions, and companies like Microsoft, which does not require a lot of speed in your codes, but they are more like, you should have a proper design structure, and the code should be in the proper uh, inheritance and all that stuff. So things like Oops should be very good into those companies, Oops, OS, and all. So that is one way to categorize if you're not able to find anything about that company. Another one is, as I said, the entirety thing.
Yeah, name your variables. Don't put I for loop. Don't put I for loop. Okay. Name your variables, what they are being used for. Like, don't code like you're coding for your MTP or stuff. They're not your professors. They actually need what the variable is used for.
One of the most important things they see is how you code, like how you're putting the indentation, how you are using what
the coding style is like really important.
So you don't just variable X or something. You have to give a name that specifies what that variable is, so that you have to ultimately work in a production for a production based code. So there you cannot just name something like that.
Yeah, don't put I for loops. You don't have to give it a whole story. Just if it's length, give it length. Something like that. If it's count, give it count. Something like that. Like, don't put I and J and then K then L. Don't do that. They'll be confused and they'll just give up on you.
Yeah, if you could even add comments.
Yeah,
if you could. Like, it's not important. I did not, but if you could, you can maybe add.
Name comments. Your variables, indent your code. Most important things.
Even though they ask you to write the code in Google Docs most of the time.
Yeah.
So your indentation is not there automatically. You are used to work somewhere where the indentation happens automatically. Now you have to take care of that you indent your code properly.
And when you're doing comparative coding, header files are already included. When you're coding on Google Docs, you have to remember the header files. The header files are not there. Nobody remember the header files. Okay, remember the header files.
Everything should be.
I forgot in one of my interviews, and I wrote all the code, and I had no idea about the header files. So don't do that.
And then I think there are many more things you can explore about interviewing. Again, as it also said, like about you asked about what kind of variables they are expecting, what are the limits and all. So these are very specific details that you'll only get to use to when you give maybe more mock interviews or just read about interviews.
So moving on to the next question, one of the most asked question was, what other skills apart from competitive programming are required for software profile? And do aptitude or probability and statistics play a very important role? Would any of the panelists like to take this up?
I mean, like first thing is like you're talking to a stranger. You're talking to a complete stranger. You don't know what he knows, and like you're not familiar to what like might offend him or her or whatever. So you have to be very careful on what you're saying there. Okay, so don't just go out there and talk like you're talking to a friend. Assume that he's your friend, but don't talk to him like that. Okay, and don't swear. Do not swear. If something goes wrong, people swear very easily in Kharagpur. That is not said openly, but people will swear very easily in Kharagpur. Don't swear out there, even if some things go wrong. Take your time, think about it, and do the correct thing. Okay. do not answer the question instantly. Even if you know the answer to the question, don't answer it instantly. Like, so things like that. So you have to be very, the way you communicate is more important than what you know. That's the thing. Like CP is okay, like there are a lot of people who know CP, there are a lot of people who don't and who've never heard of it. Okay, so it's good to have it, but it's not a necessity. So the way you communicate out there is important. That is the most important thing. Okay.
Regarding the probability and other topics, aptitude and like all that. So it's good if you have the knowledge, basic knowledge is fine. If you don't, it's fine. But if you have that particular project in your CV, like, you have a project for statistics and something like that, you should be knowing that thing, because interview in the second interview, usually this happens. They like to grill through your CV, and if they find that you have written something which you don't know anything of, or you don't know what exactly the project was on, they will definitely deduct marks for that, and that would cause you to lose your brownie points.
Yeah, don't put something on your CV that you haven't done. Like, don't just put things out there. Like, they're not looking for a very fancy CV. It's okay. You are a college student. So put the things that you know about, put the things that you're okay to talk about there. Okay. If somebody grills it on you, like grills you on that, you should know how to answer that. Okay. Don't put, even if it's like really fancy thing, don't put it out there just for the sake of putting it out there. Because people will ask you.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel that I also feel that CV comes later in the picture. Like it's like interviewers are when it comes to the, as Gaurav said, it's in the second or third round of interview when they actually grill you on your CV. So you don't need a lot of preparation for that. You just need to know everything what you have written on in your CV. So yes, you cannot brag about anything that you don't know exactly, because they might ask you that, or specifically that particular thing. So you really don't know what they can ask. And one good thing that happens that you just tell a little about your projects, and the interviewers are not very much familiar with what your project was. So they will only ask facial questions.
Yeah.
You can try to explain them, and you can just go very easily through this process, because it is very improbable that whatever project you did, that interviewer has some experience in that particular project.
Mm.
So that happens very less. So you can assume that there will be not very tough or in-depth questions on your projects. Basic questions can be there, like how you understand the data, how you understand the flow of your project, just the most basic things, what tech stacks you have used, and something like that. And yeah, so the main question was like what all skills we need apart from CP. So yeah, I would suggest you can at least do OOPS. It's good and it's really nice, and the questions are not that tough, so it's good. So you can do OOPS, and if you want, you can do a little bit OS. But if you're really targeting companies like, as I said, a bunch of companies they come for only CS-based profile, like AlphaGraph or Huawei or something like that. So if you're targeting them, so we might have to cover some more topics other than CP. Your most important, your founding stone should be CP, but you can add on to it depending on your prerequisites, like whatever requirements you have. So whatever company you're targeting, so depending on that. Yeah, I don't like.
Yeah, like you know a lot of, like, sometimes it happens that you know a lot about the project that you did, but the person in front of you don't. Okay, so don't explain the depths of it. Don't explain the crux of it and the terms, the depth and the concept. Try to explain the result you got. Okay, try to explain them in numbers, that you optimize it by, it was 3 seconds, now it's 2 seconds. That is something that a layman can understand, and it doesn't require a concept. Okay, so like assume that you're talking to your mother and father and they want to know about what you're doing, basically.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
one of my project was like on very much on EEG signals. Now everyone does not know what EEG signals are like, but the interviewer might be interested. Okay, at least you work with this data. What does this data look like exactly? You should know how the data structure, the flow, and the entire flow at least of your project, so that you can explain, I did this, in a very layman sum, like not very specific outlines, but just okay, ऐसे define किया, ऐसे extract किया, and all, and finally I got this result. And yeah, focus a lot on
it
result.
improved this, it improved that, it caused that. Like don't explain why this is better. Yeah, don't do that.
So moving on to the next question.
So the next question is, from your experience, what do you think software companies expect from the candidates? And even after the shortlisting, do coding tests have any kind of influence on the interviews or the selection procedure? Gaurav, would you like to take this up?
Yeah, so once you have cleared your the coding test, I don't think so what you did there matters a lot, because I don't think so they even know how well did you do there. So once that you have your shortlist for your interview, just forget about it. So whatever you did, whatever you did not, so that does not matter anymore. Sorry, what was the second part in your experience?
Yeah, it was what software companies expect from the candidates.
So yeah, so basically they expect you to know how to do basic level of coding, and they just expect you to have an answer for their questions. There might be times where you don't know the answer, you just tell them that I don't know this answer, but then they'll give you a new question. So there is like, you should be able to answer 50 to 80% of their questions. That's mostly that they expect. Other than that, you should have basic, as Dipesh also mentioned in one of his talks, that you should have a proper coding syntax, and how to code, and also it shouldn't be like haphazard and all. It should have a proper formatting and stuff like that. That's most that they expect. Other than that, you should be knowing your CV and you should be knowing your projects well. That's another thing I would like to add. Thank you.
Saloni, Dipesh, would you like to add something?
Could you repeat the question once?
You're not audible. You're on mute, I think.
You are on mute, I think so.
Yeah, so the question was, what do the software companies expect from the candidates? And even after shortlisting, do coding tests have any influence on interview or the selection procedure?
So basically, they want you to fit in their company culture. Like that is the most important. So let's say a person from Uber or a person from Google would like to select a candidate that is more like their co-worker or their, let's say, junior, or like be familiar, like be like him or her mostly. So they want you to fit in their company culture. Okay. Yeah. Also, you should not be a real expert in competitive. It's just a way to test your logic. If you have any other way where you can show that you're logical and you can do quick thinking, it's fine. All the coding that you'll eventually do won't be so tough. It will be very direct. You'll just have to code. The thing is, like, you should have a proper coding style. That's it. Like the things that you do when you're actually working won't be that tough, won't be that logical.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and the one thing that Dipesh mentioned, yeah, very important. Like the things you will actually be working on won't be that tough and logically. Means you don't have to actually think of a very tough algorithm for solving a particular problem. You might have to later in your career or sometimes, but as you start, you don't have to in general. So what they are expecting from you is that you have a good thinking approach.
Yeah.
That should be reflected and in your thinking process. And that is affected when you tell everything that, okay, I'm thinking this, and okay, this should not work because I'm thinking this will create a problem. So I'm leaving this solution. I'm going to another path. Then I'm exploring this solution. Okay, this will work or not work. Explain why it won't work. Explain it to them. So that they should know you have that critical understanding that you can judge whether what is good, what will work or not. And apart from that, like they expect definitely that your coding, your means practice, that formatting and everything, the nomenclatures and indentations, they are should be good because they have to ultimately be a part of the company, and where thousands of people are coding at the same time. So you should be working in a way that it is very understandable for others.
Yeah, like manageable code is more important than efficient code.
Yeah. So it will be very much like that, and I think so they expect these two. They also expect that you have a little, you're good, not very good, but you should be able to communicate what you want to say. You should be able to communicate your approach or whatever you have. Like if you are just silent, you cannot speak up a lot. So there's a problem because you ultimately have to work in a team. So you should not be very, you should not be very like silent or something. You should convey whatever you think, whatever you feel, and your speaking and communication skills matter a little. And I would suggest that you may work upon these things while you're performing some mock interviews. And apart from that, the last thing that I wanted to add was what they expect from the candidate.
And tests don't matter.
Yeah,
like they don't
about
matter.
tests.
Like after you
Once you
go
have
for the
passed the
interview.
test, it doesn't matter because the interviewers don't even know what test you
they,
gave.
they don't know.
They don't know what level of test was there.
They don't even know like if there were one test or two tests. So they don't know.
They are very different from the test. The people who frame the test are not the people who take your interviews. So you can assume that that won't be reflected there, but it might be the case that your coding skills will be reflected there because you have to do some coding in front of them in Google Docs, as I said.
Yeah, take every interview and every test as a clean slate because the previous one really won't have any effect.
Yeah, that you can do it. Yes.
Thank you, Candice. Can we take the next question now?
Yep.
So the next question is, as you mentioned, knowledge of object-oriented programming languages is required. So how much of that knowledge would be needed in the interview rounds of the software profile? Would any of you be willing to take that up?
I'd like to say that in especially companies like Microsoft, yeah, it is required. So in my second interview, they did ask me, second or first, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, they did ask me some OOPS concepts, and they were interested in knowing like how well did I did in that particular area. Not sure about that.
So yeah, similarly for Uber, like for Google, they didn't ask anything. They'll just focus on your competitive. For Uber, they will ask in one round. They will ask you to design a small product or team.
I can tell that you were selected for Uber. I don't think they have introduced it like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I also got into Uber, but yeah, that's not important. Important is that
when he was selected on Uber from the CDC placement, and he had Google off campus.
So yeah, so the thing is that in one round, they'll ask you to design a small service. So it should involve OOPS concept, but the question is framed that it's supposed to be completed in like 45 minutes. So it won't be a really big and hardcore OOPS thing, but you should follow the OOPS it should be very structured basically. It should not be an ad hoc thing. Something is coming from somewhere and something's coming from somewhere. Even if you want to send a constant, just put it in a function. Just put it in a function. That makes it more like structured. Yeah, put functions for everything. Put functions for everything. Put names for everything. Just make it very structured. Okay, so if you're not there and somebody just looks at your code, that's somebody should be able to understand what the code is trying to tell them. That is the point basically. Like they don't want you to write a book on OOPS, but they just want you to have the basic understanding of it.
Yeah, I mean, as Dipesh and Gaurav said, you don't need to be an expert in OOPS, and yeah, specifically about Uber interviews. There is one round of interview which is focused entirely, I think, on system design, and the system design is very much aligned with OOPS as well. So I did not practice. I had read about OOPS. But the main thing that you can do if you have like Uber or some other Microsoft companies that focus on such things is to look into some questions. Like there are some exemplar questions for system designs. So if you just go through 10 or 15 questions, you'll get the structure. It is pretty much the same for every question. So you have to think about, okay, what is to be done, and they have to put a function for everything. There should be all things. There should be get set functions for everything. So you should be knowing how you take it, how to take the data, and what all. If you want to create classes and how they should be linked, or if there is some inheritance in them or something like that. So they will. However, I would say that there definitely, I think, will be one round for system design, but you don't need to worry a lot about it, or you don't need to think of like prepare a lot about it. You can just, in the last 1 week or something, you can go through a bunch of questions, and since you are good, and you already might have covered OOPS, you'll easily get the topics, and you can then
They won't be tough questions. They'll be really straightforward.
they won't be
They
tough.
just want to see whether you can structure the code. That's
Yeah.
it. Like the questions will be really easy. Add two numbers, 1 plus 1, but don't put 1 plus 1. Put an get and set function for 1 and put a set function for 2. Do it like stupidly, but yeah, that is what they want to see there.
Yeah, I mean, I could really suggest one of the questions, like they had, I think, something they wanted to design as a system interface for airplane. I don't remember exactly. Like there are different airplanes coming and going, so there should be a management system that can handle which way, which lane, and which. There are, I think, some like क्या होता है जैसे एयरपोर्ट फ्लाइट्स जिस किसी पर्टिकुलर लाइन पे आती हैं या लेन पे
Right.
आती है
Strip chicken.
जो भी हाँ तो उस पे आती है तो you have to do a few like logical thinking is not a lot in such questions, I would just say. Yeah, your thinking should be simple and very communicating, and you have to maybe think, okay, ये करना है, ये काम पहले ही सोच लो कि 3-4 चीजें करनी है बेसिकली तेरा तुम्हारा जो whatever your interface is, whatever your application is, will provide these particular services. So you enlist the services first. Now you think about the structure and how actually are you serving those, like how are you actually providing those services. So this should be a little planned because it is all about planning.
Yeah.
This is
They basically want to see your planning. That's it.
Go through for a few questions for like if Uber and Microsoft they ask. I don't know. Like I don't think Google asks a lot.
No. Google doesn't. Google won't ask you. Google ask you 5, like 6, like 4 or 5 interviews for coding. Like they will gradually like increase the difficulty. And last would be an HR round.
Yeah,
So
we
yeah.
did not talk a lot about HR rounds actually. So I mean HR rounds के बारे में I did not मुझे नहीं पता था HR rounds के बारे में कुछ भी. मैंने बस last के 1-2 दिन में देखा कि HR questions हो सकते हैं. And just think, as Divesh has already mentioned, like try to relate it with your real life.
Yeah.
Like,
Then you will sound more convincing out there. That is the thing.
वो कुछ पूछे, like they ask, okay, mention any instance where you had some conflict with your colleague.
No.
So now you get to say, you have to think like, okay, maybe in college, maybe while your internships or somewhere, you had even a small conflict. Mention it properly. You can even mold the situation a little bit according to your convenience. Like, okay, finally this happened and this happened, but it should feel real. Like ऐसा हो सकता है कि maybe the conflict did not actually work out very well. वो conflict की रह गया. But तुम्हें ऐसा बताना होगा. You have to explain. Okay, this happened, and then and please don't prioritize yourself a lot. You tell that, okay, how all others were really cooperating and how everyone else helped you. So we came out of this situation. So you don't have to prove your start. You just have to prove you are cooperating. So let's just say, mostly you have to do like that about HR questions. And then there are some typical HR questions to mention your strength, your weakness. So all the tests that I have got from my seniors, like we were just sitting like you were near back. So they would just say, okay, in your weakness, don't actually reveal any weakness. Try to put it in the way that your weakness can turn into your strength or something like that. I don't have a very good example of it. Like you can say I get very dedicated to a thing that I'm not able to leave it for until it's done. So it is kind of a weakness sometimes because you cannot expect the entire team to work very hard along with you all the time. So you can try to mold, okay, this is my weakness, and it is actually kind of strength. So it's like a dilemma. You should not actually reveal what your real weakness is. So they don't want to know that. So just try to we just frame things like your weaknesses can turn into strength. That's about the HR questions. And there are only a few 10, 15 questions you can go through them.
Okay, so now let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, so this question was asked by a lot of students. What are the important topics that are to be revised just a day or two before the interview? Would any of the panelists would like to give a brief on this?
No.
Gaurav?
For the topics just before the interview, it's necessary to revise your CV, as
Oh,
you said.
nice. Cool.
If
What's
you have
happening?
revised your CV well, I think so you shouldn't be facing any issues. And for the other part, as I said, there are multiple docs which indicates like what kind of questions were asked previous year to that. And in the same company, you should be definitely referring to them because they do help you to get an idea about how things work. And that's it from my side. Yeah.
Yeah, like, so you just look at the basic CS things. Like, you don't have to go into the details, just the basic things about networking and scheduling. Because like a lot of CS people don't remember them once they are done with their semester. So people like you, even you won't remember them 3 days after you like read. Okay, so just before the interview, just go out there and yeah, this is what scheduling is. This is how it's done, and just the basics of it. They won't ask you like more than they'll ask you one question. That's it about everything. And even if you say that you don't know that because you're not from that branch, that's okay. It's not a problem. Yeah, those are the things that like some really basic things. Okay, yeah, but either you can say you know a subject or you can say you don't know a subject. Don't say that I know it some like a little. Yeah, then you are in danger because they they will just ask you really tough questions then.
There is no definition of a
Yeah,
little.
yeah. Don't say you don't know a subject or you know a subject really well. That's the thing. There is no like third level in that.
Yeah, so and like 2 or 3 days before, I think you should not like burn yourself out at all. Don't need to practice a lot of questions. You maybe just give some mock interviews. And about the topics that you should read, I would just suggest that maybe while you are preparing as well, you can create an Excel sheet or something, or even a doc, where whatever important things that you have learned, just small things, maybe like a little thing, a little information about a particular type of question or something like that. Try to make some notes so that at the end, when you are just about to face the interview, there is a doc. It's like we used to do in JEE. Like we used to have some little points. Okay, these are important for chemistry as well. Like okay, year wise a little. Let's revise this. It will be a small doc, 2-3 pages, and it should mostly cover your weak points. That okay, मैं ये भूल जाती हूँ. I forget this thing always. So let's write it down so that just the 2 days before interview you have seen that then it will be in your mind. You won't forget. So, but if you had not seen it, maybe you forget it. Maybe you forget how this type of questions. So you can mark some questions that you feel are really helpful and are very really good when structurally. You can mark some theoretical concepts as well. Just keep a log of the things that you think you might forget in future and is important. And apart from that, yeah, your CV and everything, like maybe we are covering a few more subjects like networking or OS or something like that. So just go through them. Won't ask you very deep questions.
Yeah.
So they will also ask normal questions. What scheduling? Okay, what this particular type of scheduling is? What do we do in this? And one more thing they might ask sometimes is like when you are using some STL like functions or data structures. So like how is it implemented? So they might ask you, okay, map gives you this type of complexity. Do you have any idea of how map is implemented? So now you don't have to tell exactly, okay, map uses what tree, is it red black or AVL or something. You just need to know, okay, I know this particular tree is used and I do not know the implementation, but I know what benefit it provides and how it makes it better. So you don't need to be very like I don't say you need to know the implementations of red, black, or aerial trees, but just know how little bit about the STLs you usually use, how they are giving you such a good performance. And these are just the bullet points. I would just say, yeah, make your note or an Excel sheet, have some bullet points, maybe link some of the questions, provide the link of your those questions in order to solve it. Just have to look through it, look through the solution, keep it in your mind.
Yeah, like for the bullet points, like coaching की वो नहीं formula sheet नहीं बनानी है, ठीक है, बस 2-3 पेज होने चाहिए, इससे ज्यादा नहीं, उससे ज्यादा याद भी नहीं रहेंगे, ठीक है, तो कोई point नहीं है, actually, and yeah, like that's about it. Also, like for me, like for us also, I started like I only did like any networking and this like what system design and things like 1 or 2 days before the interview, because you'll forget most of it and you just have to like just have to read the surfaces of it and don't go into the details. Just read why it's done and what's the concept behind it, even if you don't know the implementation and things.
And even I just left some subjects. I was not sure I will be able to cover even a bit, or like I will be able to cover. So I straightforwardly dropped networking and COA at all.
Yeah, I didn't do
so I just
databases. I skipped databases.
Yeah, so I just went to had an overview of OOPS, OS, and it's to the extent of database, DBMS.
Yeah. I skipped database, DBMS.
Yeah. So you can skip the subject completely. They'll understand you don't know because it was not in your department. But if you're a CS grad, you should know
that. If you're a CS grad, you should know that. If you're not a CS grad,
it's okay.
Yeah, congrats. Chill, that's about it. Yeah.
I think her network is gone, so let's move on. So questions from our side have ended, and we would now take up some questions from audience. The chat box is open. Everyone can continue posting their questions. We would love to take them, and it would be great if panelists would share their views on a few of them.
Yeah, are you
from one of the question is, from non-circuit point of view, do we have to prepare for OS, CN, DBMS, and if it is, then up to what extent?
I guess Dipesh is the right guy to answer.
That's departmental discrimination, but okay, yeah. So, so first of all, are we audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So for like you can do OS is not that tough. Like just read about OS one day before the like interview and things. Skip DBMS. Nobody will ask it. Like just assume nobody will ask it. Nobody will ask you computer architecture. Nobody will ask you computer architecture because it's really tough and nobody really knows computer architecture. Okay. Yeah. So other things are also like just look at the basics of it and don't go into the details. Like you won't be asked really tough questions about that. Okay. So they're not assuming that you're a PhD in that subject. They just want you to know the basics of it. And mostly whatever is taught, even in computer sciences, like even in computer science, whatever is taught is not used in the industry anymore. Okay. So even a computer grad will be completely new to everything that is being used in his company. Okay. So they're not looking for a PhD or somebody who's like really good at it or the topper or we understand it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I also have the same point of view. Like, you should cover maybe 2 or 3 subjects apart from CP and have a good understanding, overview, an overview kind of thing. Not very in depth. They won't ask. And maybe you can also go through some of the questions. Like we will encounter those questions if you are just checking out the interview questions. Like I think as Gaurav has also mentioned, in our time there was this inter-IT placement group, something on Facebook. I think. So there used to be a lot of, I don't know, it was a link. I didn't know exactly. It was a link. There were a bunch of previous year questions for every company. So if you get that, it will be really helpful. So yeah, you have the most recent questions there. You can get an understanding from there, like what they ask in general. So don't worry about, I would just say don't worry about these extra subjects at all up to like 10 days before the interview. Uske baad you might have to prepare them. But before that, you don't want need it at any place, at any stage. And but if you're just preparing me for GS or something also, they ask probability and quant on something. So if you are targeting that, then yeah, prepare probability, and because they ask that in their test only. So for the shortlisting also, you need those things. So yeah, depending on your requirements, just do the least things that are needed. And prior to interview, say 10 days or 15 days, then you can start grabbing on all those extra details of subjects that you want to express it.
Okay, so Gaurav, would you like to add something?
For this, I wouldn't like to add something that they both have pretty much. Yeah. One thing you could definitely do is have a look at a company's history, like what they do. Like for example, if you are shortlisted in Oracle, definitely you want to prepare SQL and all.
So one of the question is, do we have to prepare for system design too?
I think so Dipesh has answered that.
Yeah, system design is not like a core CS subject, it's just implementation of OOPS.
Yeah,
that is what
actually,
system design is.
design is just you design a system, you design an application.
Like it looks fancy, the questions look fancy, that an aeroplane is coming and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's an array. One thing is entering from this side, one thing is getting out from this side. That is the core of it. System design is just the implementation of OOPS. That's it.
Yeah, you should just know about the planning and things, and that you can get very easily by solving few questions. You do not need to read the entire subject just for answering a few system design question or something like that. So you have already read OOPS. OOPS is a good thing. I would suggest everyone, like if you're thinking, you just prepare OOPS at least. And something Microsoft asks, and something even Google asks, and GS and many other companies are sometimes interested in OOPS. So based on your OOPS understanding, you can easily frame system design solutions. So just go through some of the questions. You don't need to actually read that subject, I would say.
Yeah, and as Gaurav said that there are a few companies that have very specific what they expect from the candidates, like Oracle and like the HFT firms. So they will ask you in-depth questions about that. So if you're applying for them, like mostly they're open to CS department because they have very specific needs. But if they're open to non-CS grads, so you should know because they will ask you. They won't leave you because you are not from CS department. They will ask because they have very, very specific needs. Okay.
Like there's for those HFTs, like high frequency trading transfer, like you really need to you might actually need to prepare more than
CP.
CP is like what is CP all. So yeah, the preparation is a lot dependent on
which company you're focusing on.
As I said, you can make a bunch of companies. Like you can keep the HFTs in one. You can keep the normal software companies that are CP based in one, and like that. So now prioritize yourself. Like okay, this much, and mostly these extra subjects are to be covered at the end.
And don't try to like focus on every company because then your whole curriculum will be so large that you won't be able to like prepare everything nice. So try to narrow it down. Like don't try to put application for every company. That's not how it works. So just try to narrow it down how things are asked and what questions they ask, what do they want. Try to narrow it down as much as you can. Okay. Because if you want to prepare for everything, you won't be prepared. Like you won't be able to prepare for anything.
I mean, just another like a simple advice. Don't target a few companies, like 2 or 3.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that also. Like try to narrow it down, but don't just say that I want this and I only want that.
Yeah. Because placements are not something that will go as you expected only. Everything can happen. Like I had some tests that just got scrapped out because a networking issue or because of something. So you cannot just say, okay, I want to go into this company, and if I don't go to this, and this is useless or something like that. You will have to keep your options open, at least 5, 6, 7 companies that you are targeting overall, so that even if you lose in one, you are not disappointed that, okay, my whole purpose is gone now. Whatever
And it's not the end of life. Okay,
yeah,
it's not the end of
obviously
life.
not the end of life. Whatever I had prepared is useless because I could not get into
Yeah.
that particular company. It is not like that. The things and placements are really unpredictable sometimes. So be very accepting for them. So you should be accepting this can happen. That anything can happen actually. So it might be the case you.
And in like Corona times, you can also like get screwed because if the network is not working and some phone companies is not working on their towers. So they
switch
just
off all the pop-ups.
Yeah, switch off all the pop-ups. All the pop-ups. When you're coding, just remove the Control S extension, because when we're coding, usually we keep on pressing Control S, and when you do that in an online test, it just logs you out of there. Okay, so don't use Control S. Like
switch to do not disturb mode
Yeah.
on your laptop.
if it's there, like try all those things.
Notifications should not be there. If there are notifications coming and you're canceling them, they think you are clicking on some other website or something. They can just log you out. So make sure, because something like that really happened with me. I switched from Ubuntu to Windows, and there were a bunch of notifications, and I had not opened Windows for a long time, and I had to click on every notification, and eventually I was logged out. I was simply out of the picture.
And don't assume that the coding editor will be perfect. Like it will be as shitty as you can imagine, basically. As shitty as you can imagine. They won't have anything. They won't have the shortcuts. They won't include the header files. Just like prepare for everything. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong on that day at 12. It will go wrong, believe me.
Yeah, don't expect सारे अच्छे जाएंगे. All the tests will go good. You will have some bad tests. You will have some good tests. It will just a mixture of all those, a complete collage. Where some of the tests will really go well. Some might not go well, and you should not be disappointed by that. That's the main thing. Because if you lose the spirit, it causes problem.
And like, let's say you have 4 or 5 shortlists. Like, just try and like you have to be like really careful in where you're going, what you're doing, because prioritize them, because sometimes it might happen that you sit in one interview, then the other company won't take your interview anymore. Okay, so that happens. So it's
have
like
a background check on whatever companies you are going to interview for, and how they behave and what they expect. Like sometimes the companies are a little egoistic.
Yeah, sometimes they are.
So they are offended if you did not put them in the first priority. So maybe just check on those things, whatever you're prioritizing. Be very sensible about your list.
Adding to just one thing, so for the notifications, there's a thing called Focus Assist in Windows 10. Please use that. It has, you could set it as alarms only or priority only. That would definitely stop all your notifications. And and
update your Windows beforehand. Update your Windows. Update your Windows beforehand. If you're using Ubuntu, please update your Windows.
That is what exactly happened.
It will trigger the moment you're sitting for the interview. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. Like they know. Microsoft knows when you're sitting for an interview. Like update your Windows beforehand.
Definitely.
So let's move on to the next one. Many of you said that that the interviews would have questions related to OS and networking. So could you give some specific resources for these things?
So mostly there was like, I had a friend who was in CS, and we just I just studied from his notes, like whatever his notes were available. So there's this one guy who has notes for CS department. I don't remember his name. Anubhav Jain. There are his notes. They're very simple, 30-page notes. Yeah, they'll have a stamp of his name. I don't know why. He has a brand for his name. He has a brand for his notes. So he's that good. Just use those notes, and like you'll think that it's very like a short resource, like a very like precise thing, but that's all you need basically.
I mean, yeah, sometimes even there are few lengthy calculations or implementations in some of the subjects. You don't need to go
You
through
don't
this.
need them. Okay.
You just need to know more the definitions, the architecture, the flow.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is, because the interview is very short, they can't ask you everything.
Yeah.
So, the resources, I don't know what else you can refer. I think few people refer GHG for like system design or something like that. So you can refer that. He has short theory about everything for OS also. But it's best, yeah, if you refer one of the notes.
If you never open GFG, don't open like 2 days before the interview. GFG has a really long list of things that you can do, like if there was an ideal scenario, but you don't need all of them. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, but you can take somebody's notes from some of your CS friends, student friends, or I actually read from Anubhav.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So you can go through those notes. It's really colorful. It's really beautiful.
I don't know how he had the time to make those notes in this lecture, but yeah.
That is really good.
Like, I don't know people even make notes in their lectures, but that guy is like God.
That guy is really like, okay, he has made it really easy for a lot of people after him. Like, first year we used to just depend on his notes.
Yeah. Yeah, look it up, like Anubhav Jain notes. Somebody will have that link shared in your like whichever group you are.
Also they could
So he's on phone. So let's take up one more question. Do good level full-fledged self projects stand good, or internships are necessary to be present in your CV?
Can you repeat that again?
Basically, full-fledged self projects or internships are better for CVs.
So from a learning point of view, a fully fledged standalone like project would be really nice. But when you're in a company, you're not working alone. Okay. So the main thing that they focus is your teamwork and things like that. So for a learning part, that is good. But for HR round, you might face some questions that you have no answers to. Like in an internship, you have to like work with people you don't know. You don't know their coding style. You don't know how they work. You don't know how they want you to work and things like that. You have a manager who might be in a different time zone. You have to like adjust to that and things like that. That is also an experience that I think you should have when you're like sitting for an interview, because it helps. Like I cannot explain it how it helps, but it helps because there are little things that go wrong when you're working with a large team. And like when you're working individually, everything is like how you want it to be and how you think, how you like it's up to you what you want to do. Okay. But when you're working in a team, that like adds the complexity to the whole job. So you should have, I think, both the experiences, but you should focus more to the team where you worked as a team actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has one compulsory internship, right? For like the CDC thing. So that is something you already have in your CV. Make sure that reflects your team spirit and how you manage the all team bonding. If like some people are good at like there are people who have really good individual projects, and they should like express that in their CV because it is something they have done. It's really good and maybe some real good research or implementation or anything. But yeah, make sure there is something that signifies your team collaboration, like how that you are an individual who can adjust in a team.
Yeah, that is very important.
Okay. You can even solve problems that happen in a team. So you already have one internship as a mandatory thing, then you can maybe have one more. It will be good for you. And if you really have good projects, I would suggest keep it in your CV. It reflects your skills. I mean, it's okay if you did not it was not an internship or something, but make sure you have at least one internship.
Yeah, try to like have. I think for people who are in this call, it's already too late to like manage that. But yeah. So.
Okay, so.
Okay. Yeah, so since most of the questions were discussed in the session, let's move ahead. I think we have reached to the end of our session, and I would like to request the panelists if they have to share any kind of advice or the last minute tips for our placement janta or anything else they think we missed in our session. Saloni, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I can literally feel a bit like you because I was there at the same place that you guys are right now, and I can understand how it was like how like a lot of negative thoughts can come like they won't be able to do this, they won't be able to stop.
Saloni, just a minute. Sorry for stopping you. I need to go. My sister is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can go.
So I have sent my Facebook link to communicate people. Please post that link there. I'll drop it off. Sorry to disturb you again, Saloni. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so yeah, as I was saying that we have been through the same situations, and what I have felt like a lot of negative thoughts come. Like you think you won't be able to do. You see your peer groups. You see like they're able to solve this and that. They are better. He or she is better. I won't be able to make it. It is not important that because it is a lot dependent on the circumstances at the final day. So you should not at all compare yourself with your peers. Try because it's really hard not to compare. I know that, but as even in J you were said, try not to compare because you have to excel in your own way and block these thoughts that you won't be able to. Like it's okay if you won't be able to. Just think about if you will be able to and how you will be able to do that. So how you'll be able to crack the interviews or the test if you practice. If you practice this, practice that, make a plan. I would suggest like okay, in the next 10 days I have to complete this much. Next after that I will do these things, and you are set for the interview before the day a day before. You don't have you're not pressurized. Okay, I have not covered a few things. I have not done a few things. So make whatever time is left. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter if a lot. There's not a lot time left now for you guys. You can adjust your schedule and you can adjust your priorities accordingly and plan it like how you want the next 1 month to be and try to follow it so that you know that you did your best. You know whatever you could, you did. You don't have to compare. Okay, he or she is doing this much or that. So everyone is at a different stage. So yeah, I would just say don't let these thoughts bring you down because they are very bad sometimes and they can drop your confidence and your motivation. Like it can be like you are just so demotivated you do not do anything for the next 2 days. It's okay. It's okay if you do not do anything for the next 2 days. Just start fresh in your build. So yeah, I would like to say that.
Yeah, like people who are placed are not perfect. Like look at us too. Like, we are not perfect. Nobody is perfect. Like we had days when we compared ourselves to somebody like who did better and we did. So yeah, things like that come up, but yeah, don't let them worry you. And okay, test your internet connection before you go for the interview. Test your internet connection. It goes down in when you're in the interview and when you're speaking something. Do that and yeah, try to work when you're practicing. Try to practice in the time frame when your interview will be. Okay, so usually what happens like a lot of people in Kharagpur they work at night. Okay, like we are up at night. So we are in a mindset that our our minds work at night. But if I tell you like you have to do this at 2 p.m. or like 10, and you'll be like, oh my god, I don't have anything. Like I'm completely blank out there. So that should not happen. Try to practice on like at the time frame when your interview is. So okay, so like our interview fortunately was at 12. Okay, which was like fortunate and unfortunate because we couldn't sleep, and it was fortunate because it was the best time that we could have imagined. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so but before us it used to be at 6 in the morning. I don't know how people gave their interviews then. So but it for us it was good. Okay.
We did not have to face a sleepless night.
Yeah.
Because we already had this.
Yeah, I had to, because like some of the like interviewers got their results and I didn't. So like I didn't have interviews left, but they didn't declare the results. So I was just sitting there in a blazer and things. Like a blazer will be very uncomfortable. Try to just wear a shirt. Like, they don't. Yeah, the first thing they'll ask is, why are you wearing that?
Oh no, they don't ask that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they ask that. So the person
I
is.
bought a new blazer just for my place because I had this thing anticipated for so long from my first year, second year. I have been seeing all these placement students going completely suited and cycling in their suits.
Yeah, that is the funny thing. Like if you ever come to the placement, you'll see like final year students dressed up in black suits going to Nalanda on a cycle, and it's raining and they get wet. So yeah, it's funny.
So I really wanted to wear a blazer. I bought it. So it depends.
Yeah, but it won't matter basically.
It doesn't matter at all.
And people like us get placed, so don't worry about that. So like you'll get placed. Don't worry about that. Just try to like do the best you can. That's what's the main thing.
Definitely get placed.
Yeah.
Just do things and don't be like if you are loyal to yourself. Like, इतना किया है मैंने, इतना के सबसे इतना मिलना चाहिए. It's okay. More or less थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे होगा. It will be like that, but it will suit what you are. Sometimes for some people, maybe placements do not go well at all. They are very deserving and they land up not in a very satisfying position. So it is not the end of the world again. You can apply off campus. You can have multiple streams to showcase your talent. So you can definitely, like he applied off campus, right? So you can apply off campus also. So do not be very sad that if the placements did not go. It can go well, it cannot. Like even I feel sometimes like, okay, what if I had not made it into day one or something like that? So it is okay. Some few things are, and it's just the start of your career. So
yeah, don't worry about that. It's not the end of the world. Okay.
Yeah. So be very open. Yeah.
Chill. I hope we were good about the questions and answers.
We insulted ourselves enough.
Yeah.
So let's just take one more question. I think it is important. Can you? Should I ask?
Yeah.
Should we really use Windows for placement process, or Ubuntu is fine? And what about off-campus placements? This is.
So it depends on your preference basically, but sometimes it happens that all the features are not. So basically, you're interviewing in a Google Meet, right? And people are not comfortable about their background, their looks, and a lot of things couldn't go wrong. Okay, so Meet doesn't have that background blur feature in Ubuntu. Some websites don't work on Ubuntu. Ubuntu is good. Like I really like Ubuntu. I really hate Windows, but the thing is that like Windows has a lot of features that you can use.
I don't remember exactly why I thought of switching from Ubuntu to Windows just before Microsoft interview test, and that really went well. So that, like as I mentioned, that pop-ups and all. So I was discarded. So yeah, I really don't remember why I switched, but I think both are good. Make sure your laptop is comfortable, like whatever.
Yeah, you're comfortable with whatever system you're using. Don't.
Your laptop also is comfortable. It's
Yeah.
not hanging if you're using Windows or Ubuntu.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. My Windows was fancy. So yeah, depending on depending on what you have been using. If you think that you'd like to do it in Windows, start doing it. Like start switching right now, even if not right now, maybe a few days before the interview or test, because it should be not new to you at the time of the test.
You try to be in that scenario, in that moment of the
Make
interview,
it
as much familiar as you can.
Simulate
Basically,
the environment as much as you can.
That's the main point, basically.
And also one more thing, like when you get mock interviews, make a doc for that also, for all the points that you missed in the current interview, so that when you go to the next mock interview, just quickly look through that doc. Well, only one doc, like for mock interviews. You see, okay, these are the things I missed in the previous interviews, and I'll try to keep it in my mind in the present interview. So it is good if you have docs and things ready, or just in a little more planned way.
Yeah.
Thank you all. I guess we can move ahead.
So coming to the conclusion, first we would like to thank the panelists for giving us their valuable time and sharing all the valuable insights with us
The
today.
time is valuable.
And I hope it was very informative discussion for all of us, especially the placement Janta. We would also like to thank the audience for being very pleasant and active during the seminar. Communique wishes all the best to the final year students sitting for placements. That's it from our side. I hope the seminar proves helpful to all of you.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. Yeah, this is our
also
first
conducting
seminar.
this.
Don't judge
No,
us. Don't judge me.
It's not
Okay,
your
this is
second
my
time,
first
but it's
seminar.
okay.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you for conducting this amidst all the corona thing and like online thing and stuff. I know for you guys also to maintain this flow and plus